blood volume in the circulatory system, and the role of the capacitance vessel. First of all, understand about the blood volume in the different part of the circulatory system. Here we can see the heart is the central pump, pulmonary circulation and the systemic circulation. First of all, in the systemic circulation, 84% of the blood volume it is present, and in the heart as well as in the pulmonary circulation 16% of the remaining blood volume it is present. Now among the heart as well as the lung, in the heart 7% of the blood volume it is present, and remaining 9% blood volume it is present in the pulmonary circulation. That is 16% of the blood volume it is present in the heart and the pulmonary circulation. In the systemic circulation 84% of the blood volume it is present, in which arteries they contain 13% of the blood volume, arterioles and the capillaries they contain 7% of the blood volume. Now look at the veins, venules and venous sinuses. Vein, venule and the venous sinuses they contain 64% of the blood volume in the systemic circulation. So majority of the blood volume, 64% of the blood volume it is present in the systemic circulation only in the veins. And because of this large amount of the blood volume which is present inside the veins they are known as capacitance vessels. Venule, veins and the venous sinuses, these are the capacitance vessel. So this capacitance vessel they can accommodate large volume of the blood per unit length without much increase in the transmural pressure. These capacitance vessel they can accommodate large volume of the blood because of their structural characteristics. The tunica intima of the capacitance vessel it is thin, and the capacitance vessel it can change their shape from circular to the oval shape. So because of both this reason, this capacitance vessel they can accommodate large amount of the blood volume inside it. Now the principal blood reservoir in our body they are present mainly in the skin, liver and spleen. Now one other important structural characteristic inside the vein, it is the presence of the valves. So in the circulatory system, only vein they contain valves, and these valves they allow unidirectional passage of the blood only towards the heart. The vena cava, portal vein, and the cerebral vein in our body they do not possess valves. Venous pressure it is of two types: central venous pressure and the peripheral venous pressure. Central venous pressure is the pressure of the venous system in the central part of the body, usually the right atrial pressure. So pressure inside the right atrium, it is known as central venous pressure. It is 4 to 6 millimeter of mercury. Here we can see the insertion of the catheter up to superior vena cava, and here we can measure the pressure inside the right atrium. Normally it is 4 to 6 millimeter of mercury. It can be as high as 20 to 30 mmHg. Central venous pressure it is elevated whenever there is increase in the blood volume occurs, or increased venous tone, dilatation of the arterioles and decrease in the right ventricular function or the right ventricular failure. In all these conditions, central venous pressure it can be elevated. Peripheral venous pressure it is the pressure of the venous system in the peripheral part of the body. It is because of the compression of the venous system by the surrounding tissue, and it is normally about 10 mmHg. Few MCQs regarding this topic. Highest capacitance is seen in which vessel? The options are arteries, vein, aorta and the capillaries. So highest capacitance it is seen in veins, and that's why these vessels they are known as capacitance vessels. Largest percentage of the blood volume it is present in aorta, artery, arterioles, venule, veins, or the capillaries. So the blood volume it is present in the highest amount in the systemic circulation, and even in the systemic circulation 64% of the blood volume it is present in the venules and the vein. So the answer is venules and the veins. Maximum reservoir of the blood. The options are large vein, aorta, heart, and the capillaries. So as you all know, maximum amount of the blood it is present in the capacitance vessel, and capacitance vessel they are the veins, venules. So large vein here it is the answer. So maximum reservoir of the blood it is present in the large vein. Now let's understand the relationship between the cross-sectional area and the velocity of the blood flow. First of all, understand about the cross-sectional area. So it is the area upon the cross-section. The cross-sectional area is the area of the two-dimensional shape that is obtained when a three-dimensional object such as cylinder it is sliced perpendicular to some specified axis at a point. Here we can see this is a three-dimensional cylinder and it is sliced perpendicularly, and it gives a two-dimensional area, and this is the cross-sectional area of that cylinder. So the cross-sectional area it is the two-dimensional area that is obtained from three-dimensional object when it is sliced perpendicularly. Here we can see the vascular tree and the cross-sectional areas. This is the vascular tree which shows aorta, arteries, large arteries as well as the small arteries, arterioles, capillaries, venules, vein, and the large vein or the vena cava. So this is a vascular tree. Here we can see the total area in the centimeter square. So this is the cross sectional area, and recording of the cross sectional area of all the parts of the vascular tree, and the velocity of the blood flow in the different parts of the circulation from aorta up to the vena cava. First of all, understand about the cross sectional area in the different part of the circulation. The cross sectional area of the aorta it is only 2.5 centimeter square. The cross sectional area of the small arteries it is about 20 centimeter square. Cross sectional area of the arterioles it is 40 centimeter square, and the cross sectional area of the capillaries it is 2500 centimeter square. So the cross sectional area of the capillary it is highest. Here we can see the cross sectional area of the capillaries and the cross sectional area of the aorta. Cross sectional area of the aorta is very small, about 2.5, and the cross sectional area of the capillary it is highest, it is about 2500 centimeter square. So always remember that the diameter of aorta it is more, but the cross sectional area of the aorta it is the smallest, and the diameter of the capillary it is small, but all the capillary together it forms largest cross sectional area, and it is about 2500 centimeter square. Now the cross sectional area in the venules it is 250 centimeter square, in the small vein it is 80 centimeter square, and in the vena cava it is 8 centimeter square. Now here we can see the relationship between the cross-sectional area as well as the velocity of the blood flow. Velocity of the blood flow in the aorta it is about 33 centimeter per second. and the velocity of the blood inside the capillaries, it is only 0.3 centimeter per second. Length of the capillary is only 0.3 to 1 millimeter, and the blood remains in the capillaries for only 1 to 3 seconds. So here we can see the velocity of the blood flow from the aorta to capillary, it decreases, and the maximum velocity of the blood flow in the circulation, it is present inside the aorta. Velocity of the blood flow, it is slowest in the capillaries because same volume of the blood flow, it must passes through each segment of the circulation each minute. Now the velocity of the blood flow, it is inversely proportional to the vascular cross-sectional area. V is equal to Q divided by A, where V is equal to velocity of the blood flow, Q is equal to volume of the blood flow, and A is the cross-sectional area. So the velocity of the blood flow, it is inversely proportional to the cross-sectional area. In our circulatory system, the cross-sectional area of the capillary, it is highest. So the velocity of the blood flow, it is slowest inside the capillaries. Let's solve commonly asked MCQ from this topic. Largest cross-sectional area, it is present in. Options are artery, vein, capillary, and the venules. So now it should be clear that the largest cross-sectional area, it is present inside the capillaries, and smallest cross-sectional area, it is present in the great vessels. Second MCQ, velocity of blood, it is maximum in the. Options are large vein, small vein, venules, and the capillaries. Now the velocity of the blood, it is inversely proportional to the cross-sectional area. Among all the given option, highest cross-sectional area, it is present inside the capillaries. From the capillaries, gradually cross-sectional area, it is decreases. Venule, it contain less cross-sectional area than the capillaries. Small vein and the large vein, they contain less cross-sectional area than the venules. So among all the given option, smallest cross-sectional area, it is present in the large vein. So velocity of the blood, it is maximum wherever cross-sectional area, it is less. So the answer is large veins. Now let's understand about the different types of the blood flow. Laminar blood flow as well as the turbulent blood flow. Laminar blood flow or the parabolic profile for velocity of the blood flow. Here we can see in this blood vessel, laminar blood flow, it is present. So blood flow in the series of the thin layers or the lamina. These lamina, they slips over each other. Lamina in the contact with the vessel wall, it has the least velocity, and the lamina in the center, it moves at the fastest rate. Viscosity is the internal friction or the lack of the slipperiness which is present in between the adjacent lamina. So here we can see the different lamina, and when this lamina they slips over each other, then it provides certain amount of the internal friction, and this internal friction, it is known as viscosity. Resistance in the laminar flow, it is due to friction between the adjacent lamina. So because of that, the peripheral lamina in the direct contact with the vessel wall, it is the highest resistance, and the innermost lamina with the adjacent relation to the near lamina of the blood flow, it has the least friction. So because of that, the central lamina, it moves at the fastest rate, and the peripheral lamina, it moves at the slowest rate. So here we can see the parabolic profile for the velocity of the blood flow, where the central lamina, it moves at the fastest rate, and the peripheral lamina, they moves at the slowest rate in comparison to the central lamina. Viscosity is internal friction or lack of the slipperiness between the adjacent lamina. Here in this slide we can see all the factors affecting viscosity. First factor is flow rate. So with the increase in the flow rate, viscosity decreases. Because with the increase in the flow rate, it increases the velocity gradient and the shear rate, which decreases the viscosity. At the high flow rate, RBCs, they occupy central axis in the blood flow. This is known as axial streaming. So at the high flow rate, because of the axial streaming, viscosity decreases, and this is also explained by plasma skimming as well as Fares-Lindquist effect that I will explain in the next slides. Hematocrit can also alter viscosity. With the increase in the hematocrit, viscosity increases. Increase in the hematocrit, it means increase in the number of the cell in the blood. So with the increase in the number of the cell, all the cell, RBC, WBC, platelets, they increases the internal friction in the blood flow. So because of the increase in the hematocrit, viscosity increases. Temperature, it is inversely proportional to the viscosity. So with the increase in the temperature, viscosity decreases, and decrease in the temperature increases viscosity. Plasma skimming. With the increase in the flow rate, RBCs, they occupy central axis in the vessel. Because all the cells, they occupy central axis, the peripheral zone is cell-free plasma. So cell-free plasma is in the contact with the vessel wall, and it provides less resistance or the internal friction. So at the high flow rate, viscosity decreases. Now in the small branches, they carry even more amount of the plasma than the larger branches. So hematocrit of the small vessel is less. Hematocrit of the capillary blood, it is 25% lower than the whole body hematocrit because of the plasma skimming. So small vessel, they carry more amount of the plasma and less amount of the cell. So viscosity decreases with a decrease in the diameter of the vessel because this small vessel, they carry more amount of the plasma and less amount of the RBC. And cell-free plasma zone have the same width in the all the vessel of about 5 millimeter. So this effect is known as Fares-Lindquist effect, and it explains that as the diameter of the vessel decreases, internal friction or the viscosity also decreases. This slide, it explains the relationship between the hematocrit as well as the viscosity. So with the increase in the hematocrit, viscosity increases. Here we can see the viscosity of the water. So viscosity of the water is 1 and viscosity of the plasma is 1.5. Then the recording of the viscosity at the different hematocrit, it is obtained. So here we can see the viscosity as well as the recording of the hematocrit. So as we can see, with the increase in the hematocrit, viscosity also increases. At the normal hematocrit of about 45%, viscosity is about 3 to 4. Now with the increase in the hematocrit as occurs in the polycythemia, hematocrit rises up to 60 to 70. So viscosity, it increases up to 9 to 10. So with the increase in the hematocrit or amount of the blood cell, viscosity also increases because of the increase in the internal friction or lack of the slipperiness. Turbulence in the blood flow. Here we can see laminar blood flow and the turbulent blood flow. First of all, the laminar blood flow. In the laminar blood flow, lamina of the blood, they are present. Each lamina, they sleep over each other. Central lamina, it has the fastest rate, and the peripheral lamina, it has the least velocity, and parabolic profile of the blood flow, it is observed. When the laminar blood flow, it is disturbed, then it produces different pattern of all the lamina, and it produces inorganized current of the blood flow, which are known as eddy current. And this type of the blood flow, it produces turbulence in the flow of the blood. So this blood flow, it is known as turbulent blood flow. Turbulent blood flow, it produces Korotkoff sound whenever we measure blood pressure. Murmurs, they are also produced because of the turbulent blood flow. It occurs whenever blood passes through the valves in the heart. Reynolds number, it describes the relationship between the various factors that determines laminar or the turbulent type of the blood flow. Here we can see the Reynolds number is equal to rho dV divided by eta, where rho is the density of the fluid, d is the diameter of the blood vessel, and v is the velocity of the blood flow, and eta is the viscosity of the fluid. Whenever Reynolds number is more than 2000, it produces turbulence inside the blood vessel, and whenever Reynolds number is less than 2000, it is usually laminar type of the blood flow. So whenever density of the blood it increases the Reynolds number and it produces turbulence. With the increase in the diameter of the blood vessel, chances of the turbulence they are more, and with the increase in the velocity of the blood flow, Reynolds number increases, which can increase turbulence. Increase in the viscosity decreases the Reynolds number and decreases the turbulence, and decrease in the viscosity increases the velocity as well as increases the Reynolds number, and chances of the turbulence they are more. So always remember that with the increase in the density, diameter and the velocity, they can produce turbulence, and decrease in the viscosity, it can produce turbulence in the blood vessel. Let's summarize laminar versus turbulent blood flow. So the nature of the blood flow in the laminar type of the blood flow, it is usually streamlined and it occurs in the layers. And the turbulent blood flow, it is disturbed type of the blood flow and no particular layers they are present in this type of the blood flow. Velocity of the blood flow, it is below the critical velocity in the laminar blood flow, and the turbulent blood flow, always the velocity is above the critical velocity. Critical velocity is the velocity required for the production of the turbulence in the blood flow. So always in the turbulent blood flow, it is above the critical velocity. Reynolds number, it is below 2000 in the laminar type of the blood flow, and in the turbulent blood flow, it is above 2000 Reynolds number. Laminar blood flow, it is soundless and silent, and turbulent blood flow, it is associated with the production of the sound.